Hello and welcome to today's adventures of the Windswift. Our valiant crew are sailing on to their next destination. Yeah, so it's now the not so swift. It's the wind.
Moderate waterly.
Moderate waterly. There we go. So Dice of Destiny is going to tell us who. Oh, these are my invisible dice. These are my transference dice. Remember,
So you can just tell us what you roll.
Yeah, I can just tell you what you roll. You can still see the numbers though, so I don't violate my own rules, right? Anyway, so Dice of Destiny is going to tell us that it's number 4. So 4 is Sophie. You're up. Sagitta.
Bless you.
How hard is it? It's Sagitta. Come on.
You just have to sneeze. You made it up yourself. Come on.
All right, Sagitta, take us away. Remind us where we were, what's happening, and what's going on. And of course, if you have noticed in the write-up below, our adversary scribe writes a comprehensive write-up as well, so you can catch up on that too. Okay, take it away, Sagitta.
So the crew decided to join us in our little mission to do something with the order. But yes, and we shut down the engines and became a sailing ship. So that was fun. So yeah, and then we decided to go to Sanctuary, the Druids island. That was kind of a convenient place to go. On our way, we discover that there is a vampire on board who reveals more to Jorik about his sister, that his sister has been kidnapped by another vampire, Von Clear, I have down. And in 6 months' time, she will be turned into a vampire herself. I'm not sure, but there's a blood moon coming up and a marriage coming up, and we are going to have to go at some point to rescue her. Then Con has to treat the crew for being seasick or rather drained by said vampire.
I feel so drained.
And we have a visit from a lovely lady who comes to warn us that others are looking for the Windswift from the Sagitta and Grace empires. We go and interrogate the prisoners. Well, some of them do. I think I was cooking or eating. Adversary finds out quite a lot from the lizard gnome thing, the Shaquin Quill, and we get a little bit excited about having a time machine on board. There is a bit of an argument between Blackston and Jorik about the fate of Drakensmoor and what to do with the vampire on board. Are we going to use him to kill the 8 vampires or not? It's decided not. So yes, we...
that was the entire argument.
Pretty much. It was a bit more involved. But anyway... And we left it with Lily checking on Jorik sort of about his mental state because, yeah, he's not a happy bunny right now. Slightly emo, I think it was put earlier.
Yeah, he's a period of teenager.
It's like the hair all in his face.
Shaved on one side.
I think
it's not a face, Bob, okay?
Black makeup.
Okay. Well,
it goes great with the pink eyes.
Your idea. All right, that sums up pretty much where we are. The ship, of course, is currently sailing and leaking as sailing into the harbour of Denethwold, which is the capital and only city, as a matter of fact, of the island of Sanctuary, which is the island of the Druids. And the visitor has, given those warnings. Now, Sanctuary, Denethwold itself is a rather interesting structure. You've got lots of stone piers and jetties that stretch out into the ocean, and then lots of wood, which it looks as if it's sort of the trees themselves have grown into buildings and into shapes and things. There are some traditional structures that have been built onto those wooden extrusions and growths. So the entire city looks very, very organic, and multiple trees have grown up and around one another, creating their branches interlocking with one another, creating these walkways and things. And you can see quite a lot of different people gathered around the docks and things going about their business. It is late afternoon after all, and there is a Sagitta ship in harbour. You can see her large, very, very resplendent yellow sails. placing her very far away from her home continent. Very far away.
So if you don't see it yourself, you would not believe it?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. No, indeed you wouldn't. So
Simon is like 5 minutes in. You can't start with the puns already.
not
Yes!
5 minutes, right? Yes, that's what you see. Your ship comes sailing in. Who's at the helm?
I think it was Con, right?
I think it was Con, yeah.
Yeah, I
because
think it was
Yeah,
the
because
bird
he got
lady
the
landed
bird lady.
right next to him.
That's right.
That's
Okay,
right.
it's me.
Okay, so you bring her in. You're not coming in very quickly, I wouldn't imagine. And
No.
Just drift again.
I don't think the Windswift is very quick right now.
no, not in the current state. Anyway,
Trying to carry
right,
the entire ocean with it.
And having just been recently warned that agents of the Sagitta Empire are interested in speaking with us or something, the sight of a Sagitta ship in harbor is great.
As long as it's not a grave.
Yeah.
Could be
Well, yeah, do a quick glance around to see if there are any Graith vessels.
Oh yeah, it's on the other side of the harbor.
Because they might be more pissed right now if they already know.
Yeah, you don't see any, but
They have
And
stealth
method to-
technology.
Oh no.
Well, I
the
guess
harbour
I
itself
just...
is quite protected, so it's not. You can see all the ships that would be docked at the docks, and you can't see any sign of Graith.
I have a question for Blackstone, actually. How much money do we have on board?
Hmm.
Just to know.
That face
Asking
is
for
funny.
no specific reason.
So we have everybody of ourselves at this point has like a sizable sum of money if you didn't pay for it already, like about 800, 900 gold pieces, right? That's what everybody should around have, depending on where we started. And I have also the coffers of the Windswift, which is right now 2,500 gold.
We have wares too, don't we? From the Drow Kingdoms?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's what we have in wares. We don't actually have any gold right now.
No. But, you know,
We need to kind of
useless.
liquidate it. And I specifically bought stuff that I hope to kind of get a profit out of, right? Which is some of the stuff that I wanted to do. Another thing that I wanted to do is ask around town or ask the dungeon master if there's a bureau of the order here where we can get our wages and things.
Right. In terms of an outpost, there is, of course, an outpost here, considering that this is the only city, or at least sort of modern day setting, or sort of a modernized space on the sanctuary. There is an office here, absolutely, that you can report to draw your
Okay.
wage.
That's where I'm going then at some point.
All right. Yeah, you put in, it's not difficult, Con. The harbor is deep and the water is unnaturally calm it settles down and sorts out. The ship is tied to the side of the quay, and a rather chilled-looking commander comes over to you. Harbormaster, not a commander. Harbormaster comes over. How long are you going to be in harbor? He calls out.
Not entirely sure at this point, but at least a few days, probably. We're
Right.
looking to have some repair work done to our hull, so pending an assessment of that, I can't be more specific, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Required a dry dock too, right?
well, absolutely. All right, then you're going to want to report to Benneth if you need hard work done on your ship. Benneth isn't responsible for repairing ships and things. You won't find a better wood worker this side of, well, anywhere, as a matter of fact. The things he does with wood, people are usually blown away by. He doesn't come cheap, though, I might mind you. Actually, to be perfectly honest with you, if you wanted cheap labour, I'd actually suggest you head on over to the Orcish cities. They do pretty good work, and they're half the price of Benneth. But, well, as if she's completely new again.
Strange that you should say that. I had a similar recommendation for a Fangveer.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, you could go to him too, right? But Bennett is better.
Does he pay you to say that? Do you get a commission for every person you send to him?
All right, look, it's 15 gold pieces for portage at the docks, and you can go to whoever you like. You can go anywhere you like. You absolutely can. 15 gold pieces, and you can stay here for 3 days, and that's it. Whoever you speak to will sort you out.
Yes, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. The quartermaster will attend to the harbor fees, no doubt, very soon.
Right, you are then. Bennett! Bennett!
He does get a commission.
Make sure
this is the favorite shop on the Citadel.
I then sort of proceed to make sure the ship is all correctly tied up and stowed away.
Oh, yeah, Naxon and Rav and company are busy running around sorting that.
And York is on deck too, overseeing security during the docking.
Everybody else.
Yep. Okay, so the ship docks at Denethwold. The question is, who is doing what? Let's start with you, Jorik. What is Jorik
doing? He's not needed on land right now. So he's overseeing everything,
security.
Spending some time with the crew.
With pointy teeth.
Right. So Mios comes walking up to you, Jorik. I'll come back to you as to what happens there. Adressai, what are they doing?
I think they're going to go into town, grab what money they have, and get into town and look for a sort of magic shop. I want to look for spell books about weather magic.
Ye old magic shop.
Yes.
Ye old magic shop.
Ye oldie shoppy.
Interesting. Sakets.
Ooh, I think I'm going to go shopping as well. I mean,
you want to go shopping?
Go
This
shopping
is not
with
the
you.
shopping episode. I promise you, this is not the shopping episode. This island before it becomes the shopping episode.
It's a weekend. Every shop is
No,
closed.
but I would actually like to find some healing potions.
Right. So you're going
Good call.
All right. Blackston, what are you doing?
2 things. First thing, I would speak to the crew and see if anybody of them wants to go off board. And if they want, I would tell to them not to drink with random people and bring them on board.
Right, you are.
It's a good rule.
Good general rule. And the second thing is then I would want to go to the order bureau.
Absolutely.
Branch or whatever.
They have to ask for permission to go ashore from me anyway.
Yeah, but
Can't.
I still want to.
Yeah, got you. To focus them. Focus, people. Focus. All right. Con, what are you doing?
Well, I've got a couple of errands to run, really. Firstly, I want to seek out Fangvir. I feel since the person who recommended him was the same person who felt kindly enough towards us to give us a warning about the Sagitta and the Graith, so I'll keep following that line. And once I'm done, in theory, with whatever business I can arrange with Fangvir and the ship.
Want me to come with you?
If you like. I'm not opposed to company. I don't anticipate any trouble, but then after that, I guess I'm going to have to seek out someone of authority. Second question there. The staff at the Order Bureau office here, they would be Druids?
No,
themselves?
not necessarily.
Okay,
Not necessarily.
so I would then be seeking a separate druidic authority to have a more druidic chat.
Right.
Which may or may not exclude Blackston. I don't know how the formalities of these things go.
Right. Yeah, druids don't generally like having non-druids around when they talk to
It's
them.
fine.
Something
But
about being naked together.
It's worth coming
Reach out.
along to speak to the woodworker at least, because you may think
Absolutely.
of stuff I don't.
Yeah, considering how wanted we are right now, we might not want to go off wandering alone.
Also a good point.
So I'll just stick with you, and then I'll wait outside and wait for you to finish.
Alrighty.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and York,
Okay,
York will
so-
keep check on the ship. If you need him, come get him.
Come get me!
Right. Okay, I'm going to go to Saket first. Saket, you disembark from the ship and head off into...
We'll go together then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I guess we're going to have to both go to the old magic shop. So
All right.
I'm guessing that's where I'm going to get healing potions from.
There we go. Okay. So,
And there's got to be someone to, stop Adrasai going completely nuts on the book front. I mean, some restraint is going to have to be offered.
The book and or tourist crap.
Yeah,
Yes, and God forbid map.
Oh, a map.
A map made out of crayon.
I collect those.
okay.
Oh, this is good crayon. I can tell. I have a lot of experience with crayon.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So between the two of you, would you please give me an investigate check using charisma as you
Oh god.
through?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is a
that's gonna
new
go
thing
well.
that I found in the PHB, the rules book that I have been reading and studying. You can swap out the abilities that you
Yes.
when asking for skill checks.
Well, in that case,
Oh no.
18.
I'm looking forward when you find the passive section of the skills.
I'll never find it.
What, you
All
mean
right,
this
so-
passive perception thing has a use?
Yeah, never. Yes. What did you get?
18.
Good.
18.
So I got a 1.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah.
You're just like, oh look, a pair of cotton.
I'm going to
sit
sit
in
in
this.
this.
As you guys are walking into the town itself, you start asking questions of the locals. Where can we go? Where can't we go? Adrasai, you get distracted because the amount of individuals walking around whom initially you look at and you go, oh my God, that's a Graith. And then you realize, no, hang on a moment, that's half human, half wolf. And that these are lycanthropes that are just wandering
Oh my.
shopping, going about their daily business, is a little bit off-putting. And then when you come across one that is a large tiger that walks with a strange lope, stands about 9 foot tall, which is gigantic from your perspective.
It's like twice my size.
Twice your size, quite literally. And if this particular were-tiger, if she was wandering around the Athar Sodality, would be an empress. I mean, the stature's huge, but you can see there's definitely a weird morphology that's started to happen. So your sort of attention gets pulled away in all different.
Yes.
You see
I'm definitely looking at the tiger lady like I would climb her like a tree.
Okay.
Okay, so you kind of pull.
Moving on.
but the lady.
No,
I must get to know her.
All right. So you're asking about a store that sells potentially healing potions, magical potions, basically, and books and that sort of thing. And the general response that you get is, "Oh, you got to go to Zavillo's. They've got that sort of thing. I mean, that's Zavillo's got that. If you want something, that's where you go." So they point you to Zavillo's. Zavillo's, as you're making your way there, is the entire city. It's called, and you realize this very quickly. They talk about the bows, and it's either on the ground bow, the first bow, or the second bow, which talks to the different heights within the trees that have grown up. And Zavillo's is on the second bow, and you sort of make your way up these rather large wooden steps that appear to have grown out of the tree rather than be nailed to it. And you make your way up to second bow, or to the second bow, and you have this spectacular view, absolutely spectacular view of the entire harbour, which looks like these two large stone arms that have stretched out into the ocean. And the more you look at it, it actually does just look like two gigantic stone arms that have stretched out into the middle of the ocean and then sort of just stopped there. But this must have been quite some time ago because there's lots of grass and mosses that have grown on the top of it, and the bottom of it have got sort of seaweed and that kind of thing. And then, of course, you can see the Windswift, which even from up here, you realize she's got a rather strange list of about 5 degrees to port, as she's obviously taking on too much water, being sedentary now.
Yeah.
Makes it worse. And you can see that the bilge pumps are busy going as spurts of water spray out of her side like wounds. And then, of course, you can see the Sagitta ship. Now, from here, you can see a contingent of Sagitta disembarking from the ship. And it's not difficult to determine that they are all military, although they're trying to look as if they're civilian. Just the way they walk, there's
Does the good walk?
Yeah, well, what it is there's none of that usual
Step.
chaos of a bunch of people disembarking. You know, sometimes you get in front of someone and someone's shuffling. So
Like
there's
small groups build that kind of.
This is a very uniformed disembarkation, and then almost a form discrete group maneuver where everyone sort of forms a discrete group. So yes, right. So you sort of see this happening, and then you see the group sort of peeling off. One group heads towards the Windswift, the rest are heading into town. That's when you can see.
Good luck, Jorik.
Right.
Thank you.
Zavillos is it's interesting. The tree itself has a large hole which must have been enlarged, and Zavillos is inside of that. Now on the front side of it is these large glass panes, these very green tinted glass panes that have been fused together with copper metal soldering types of things, and there's rather bizarre sort of a purplish gas seems to be escaping from a few vent holes in the glass plating itself, and then there's a door and there's a large sign outside which says Zavillo, and you can see even as the light is now starting to fade, it's now late sunset, that sign is actually starting to glow a little bit, little sparkles and that sort of thing. The only thing that worries you is that underneath that sign is another piece of board that's been stuck there, and then with white paint written "Everything must go, closing down."
Oh no!
Yeah.
Tacked onto the board. Right, so that's
I'm
what
gonna-
the thing is.
I'm going to cast detect magic before we go in.
Oh, okay. You cast detect magic. The whole thing lights up.
Blind!
Oh,
board
God.
lights up very badly. The smoke lights up. The glass lights up. Everything just lights up with this
This
sort
will
of.
be interesting.
It's a mixture of abjuration magic, transmutation magic, illusion magic, sort of reigns supreme over and above everything else. But that's what you're picking up.
Nistul's magic aura.
Yeah. Con and Blackson, you tell the crew to regulate themselves. What Lieutenant Ty suggests is that she believes that at least herself should remain on board at all times just to monitor the situations and the inhabitants of this vessel. But if crew need to disembark, they're welcome to, except of course for Hurricane, who is confined to the ship's
Yeah, and
galley.
embark in groups, right?
Absolutely right. They've got to do various supplies and things in terms of picking up groceries, etc., etc., etc. And they ask for a small allocation of 100 gold to do that.
Sure.
All right, so there you go. That leaves the two of you to go off to this Fangveer, which you make general inquiries at the harbour. It's not difficult to find Fangveers at all. Fangveers is actually, it's a section of the harbour that has lots of wooden timber stacked up in different piles. There's different types of timbers and things. Some of the timber has actually sprouted roots and is growing into the dock. Some of it's got little branches that are leafing and budding and flowering as well. And you get deeper into the sort of almost maze of piles of different wooden things. And there's various skeletons of ships just lying around in various states of death or construction. And there are lots of workers, humans mostly. There's some dwarves that you can see busy banging away, crafting these ships, and they all point to an office. At least that's what they call it, but it looks more like a cave that has been revealed in the side of the harbour arm, and from inside you can hear this rather loud shouting.
It's rather on the nose for a druid, right? To live in a cave.
Oi!
That's druidist.
I lived in a cave
Fine, druids and Jorik.
for 60 years.
Lots of fun childhood memories from caves.
Right.
Well, let's see what he has got to say.
Kind of.
So as you step up
By
to
the way,
yeah.
in anticipation of what might happen later, I would be in full regalia, meaning like armor and weapons and stuff, because I never know. I want to be ready to face this Duke.
Right. Okay. So you sort of step into the cave. Are you both going into the cave? All right. As you step into this cave, this human worker comes rushing past you. He's red-faced. He's holding a pencil and a hammer in one hand and a clutched piece of paper in the other, and he's muttering under his breath something about deadlines, and some people are just crazy. And inside the cave, it's quite well lit. There's just racks of deck plans, ship plans, wave dynamic calculations. It's just littered all over the place. And then there's racks full of scrolls and various states of unfurling. And standing behind this desk is this very tall, well, he looks like a human now, but he's got the wildest hair, mutton chops that stick out to beyond his shoulders. And he kind of looks up at you with this feral glare, and you can see his hands slowly turning back into pink hands. They at the moment are very hairy, and he looks at you and he says, "Yes, what?
Good evening."
Well, it might be for some, not for me. What do you want?
Oh dear. Well, my name is Captain Connor Danner, and this is Captain Blackstone Rose of the Order Hastari. And we were rather hoping we could discuss with you some rather urgent repairs to our vessel.
Right. Is your boat sinking?
Yes.
Your boat is sinking.
Yes. They are
Tell me
pumping
why
it
I should waste my time on a ship that the captains of don't care about.
Well, we do care about it. That's why we're standing here right now.
We were told you were the best person.
That means that the damage has been done. That means it's careless captaincy that's caused it to have a hole in its hull, isn't it?
It's complicated.
If you put your eyes,
isn't it?
I can assure you that the damage is not due to bad captaining or running ashore or whatnot. It is actually a design flaw, I guess, at this point.
Which we seek to have corrected. And you seem to be
Badly
the
built
best.
boat, and you're trying to salvage it? We should set it on fire to the benefit
no.
of the entire naval industry, getting rid of that piece of junk if it's badly made.
She's a fine vessel, but let down by some minor details which we were hoping
What,
are
like
venerable.
sinking? Yes, I'd call that a little bit of a minor defect to her fine hull.
Indeed. And
Well,
you
where
are
did
the
you
best
bring her
person
from? What, who built her?
well, gnomes.
You sailed all the way here from the states of Hickwin on the other side of the planet in a boat that's sinking. She's not sinking very fast, is she?
Well, she didn't used to sink, but there were necessary changes.
I don't think he
going
the Order of a Starry thing.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, he did.
I look at Blackstone. This isn't going how I expected.
I just shrug and say, "So, we are in need of your services, and we heard great things about you from.
Of course you did.
And we would like you to take a look at our ship, and I and you too, Con. I'm very sure that these problems can be solved rather quickly, but
We have good gold to pay for it.
Really? You think that that's all I care about is gold?
So what do you care about?
If it would
I
help
care
things
about
along.
decent shipbuilding, which by the sounds of things is not what I'm going to find when I get to your ship, is it?
Well, take
Right,
a look.
how about this? I'm a little bit busy. If I get to your ship and I find that your ship is just a disaster of wood that's been nailed together by some amateur who thinks that a bit of tar and some cotton makes it seaworthy, if I find that, I'm going to burn your ship down in compensation for the lack of my time. If, on the other hand, I find that it might be something that might maybe be worthy of my capacity to repair your ship beyond the original design specifications and make it better, then I will do that for some of
For
your
free.
gold.
Can I make a wager on that?
Ooh.
Well, go ahead.
You're not playing Astu now.
All right, wager. What's your wager?
Just a sum of gold on whether or not you will decide in favor of our vessel. What do you think the odds are?
What do I think the odds are from the description that you've given me? That you've got some kind of ship that started leaking halfway on your voyage here from the Nova States of
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
And it wasn't because captain's error?
Yes.
If it wasn't because of a captain's error or because it was a badly designed boat that I don't burn down whilst it's at dock, well, I'll do your repairs for free. If, on the other hand,
dear.
it is because it's a complete waste of my time and I burn your ship in the dock, it means that you owe me double what I would have paid to have repaired your ship anyway in compensation for doing you a favour for removing you from obviously a not seaworthy vessel.
All right.
Sounds like a fair deal.
Well,
This is the worst idea.
let's go and make some money then, he says. And he just walks out of the cave. He turns around. Where is your ship? No, wait. Let me go and see. I'll find it in the harbour. And he goes,
Just listening.
It's so that's listening. It's the one that's taking on water.
Someone pissing.
And I just
The one
look at
that's
Colin,
sinking.
and I just look at Colin saying, either we are out of money and out of a boat, or we have a seaworthy ship.
This is some episode one
I'm
shit.
rather banking on the fact that he's never seen the like of it, at least.
Yeah. No, I'm fairly certain that he will be intrigued, to say the least. So.
Good ship. It's just not designed for water.
I mean, it is designed for water, not just for.
It's not designed for
long.
options.
No.
all right. Jorik, you are the last man on the ship. And once everyone's gone, Mios comes wandering up to you and he says, I'm sorry to bother you, sir, but the man in down below, he says he wants to talk to you. The man.
How do you know that?
He told me.
I'm pretty sure I ordered that no one go down there.
Yeah, I didn't go down there, sir. It's just that he was suddenly behind me and he told me to come and fetch you. I need to.
I see. Well, ignore him for now. And don't go down there.
I didn't go down there, sir. I was in the galley helping Harrican clean out, and suddenly he was there, and he was saying that I must get call you.
I see. Can you get me Lieutenant Ty?
Yes, of course, sir. He goes rushing off. A few moments later, he comes back. Lieutenant Ty is following him. Yes, Captain. What can I do for you?
Would you have Kev report to deck duty and have him watched for the duration of our stay here?
Kev, sir.
Kev, sir, yes. The big gentleman.
Yes, sir. All right. I can have him report.
There's nothing wrong. I just want people. I just want him under surveillance because one of our guests down below has an ability to affect people, and I suspect that Kev might be susceptible to this. So he's under no circumstances to go under deck.
Right, you are, sir. I'll sort it out straight
Thank you.
away, sir. She goes off, barks some orders, and a few moments later, you see the rather pallid-looking Kev come sort of standing up on deck, squinting at the bright sunlight, even though it's late afternoon and it's not very bright. As he sort of stands there looking rather sorry.
I find a mop and a bucket and say, "Hey, Kev, you're on deck
Yes,
duty."
Right, sir. Only Dr. Con said that I wasn't really to do very much hard work, sir.
Scrubbing the decks isn't hard.
Right, you are, sir. He sort of takes the mop and he starts plunging it in and swirling it around as he starts going about his business. What else are you doing?
Other than that, I'm just looking over to see what Lieutenant Ty has done with the crew while we were gone to see how they're working. And when I see that everything is either disastrous, then I do something about it. Or if it's to my pleasing, I will sit in the front of the ship
Right.
towards the bow and actually meditate for a while.
So you actually ignore the people? Nice.
Give me an insight check, if you please.
That's not amazing. Oh, great. 7.
Everybody seems to be working fairly efficiently, moving about, going. The ship seems to be quite alive. No one's taken shore leave, yeah, everyone, whenever they see you, is smiling. Yeah, ship shape. Except for Kev. Kev, whenever he sees you, he tries to smile, but there's it takes effort. You can see that it's taking effort. Absolutely. All right, and then you go and meditate on the bow of the ship. You've been meditating for maybe 5 minutes when there's a call from the quay. Someone is doing the ahoy vessel in the harbor call. And Lieutenant Tyler responds to it, and then you hear her footsteps approaching behind you. I'm terribly sorry to interrupt you, sir, but there's a delegation from Sagitta that wish to speak to the captain of the vessel.
All right. I suppose that's me. So I walk over there and see what they want.
All right. They look, well, the one looks to be a very stiff, very rigid individual, dressed in it looks like sort of mercantile clothing. Definitely nothing ostentatious, nothing flamboyant. It wouldn't stick out in the crowd. And he looks you up and down and he says, greetings in the name of the Sagitta Empire. Might I inquire as to the name of this vessel?
I bow in the traditional Sagitta way and address him in Sagitta, and I say, who wants to know?
I am but a humble merchant out of Takatuman, and I am seeking to purchase another vessel. I would know the name of the ship before I make an offer to the captains. A very generous offer.
I look at the Windswift listing and spurting water, and then I look back at him. Come again?
I understand that your ship is not in the greatest situation at the moment, and repairing vessels can be quite expensive. I am in the business of buying older ships, restoring them, and then adding them to my fleet. That is why I'm here.
And what would you use this vessel for?
I'm not sure. I'd have to have a look around first. Might I come on board?
No, you may not.
Understandable. We barely know one another. So you won't tell me the name of your ship, but you did not say she is not for sale. So
She is not for sale. No, she's not. But the name of the vessel is irrelevant. She's the Windswift. This might have been a bad idea, but I have to try.
Then I must have been mistaken. I thought someone might want to try and sell this wreck before she sinks to the bottom of the harbor. You must forgive me for interrupting whatever it was that you were doing. I assume bailing water.
Yeah, that's what the crew is doing.
He bows and then he leaves. But you see one of his men decides that it's much better to light up a cigarette and sit on the edge of the dock and start smoking casual, like looking out over the bay as the sun sets. Back to the two of you.
I turn around and tell Lieutenant Ty, keep an eye on that gentleman down there.
Right you are, sir.
And report to me what he does.
Right you are, sir. How often in intervals do you want me to report, sir?
When something changes.
Very good, sir. And she starts to watch him. Zavolo's is a rather curious aroma as you push open the door. As you push open the door, there's this very high-pitched bird call that sounds out, and it sort of plays around the length and breadth of the shop. There we go. Something like that. And there are just shelves and shelves and shelves of glass vials and glass-shaped things. It looks as if someone decided to make a scale model of the intestines of an elephant out of glass, and then to fill each of the tubes and different liquids and things which sort of bubble and boil, and there's sort of smoke pouring out of some of it. There's books that have been left here and there. To your horror, Adversary, you see that there's a book that's been left in a puddle of green goo.
Oh no!
Half of the book has sort of dissolved into that green substance.
I try to rescue it, just sort of shake it off and put it somewhere dry.
Give me a dexterity saving throw as you grab the book.
Oh god! Why do I have to keep doing things?
Incessant fiddling with things.
14.
14. As you're about
You
to
die.
grab it,
Not enough. Die.
you start to realize that the reason why the book is sinking into the puddle is because the book is actually being slowly dissolved into that puddle of green goo.
Mhm.
It might not be safe to touch it. So you can if you want to, but it might not be safe.
I whisper, I'm sorry, I tried. And I move on.
At the back of the shop, and you hear his footsteps before you see him, is this individual. He arrives. He has absolutely no hair on his head whatsoever. And it's all this sort of bright pink, but there's different patches of bright pink. Some are brighter than others, and you realize it's basically new skin that's been revealed because the old has been blasted, burnt, or scalded off. And he comes to a sort of a skidding halt, and he looks at you. Customers! I love customers! Welcome to Zivolo's! We have everything you could possibly need, provided that it is what we have is what you need.
Right.
Hey, you're Savilo?
Yes, I am. Absolutely. I'm Zavilio. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Welcome to Zavilio's. That is to say, mine, because I am Zavilio. Yes.
Yes. I am Adusai. This is Saket, and we are looking to purchase some items of magical nature.
Fantastic. What sort of items of magical nature might those be? Might they be alchemical magical nature? Sort of things that one can whip up in a vat sort of thing? Something that's got a chemical compound to it? Something that might,
Maybe the healing potions might.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. How many would you like? I've got as many as you could possibly want, providing
I
that
think I want all of them.
Depends on the price, I think.
Yeah, hang on, wait. How much money have I got on me?
Depends on the price of the potions.
Right, yes, absolutely.
What types do you have and
have
for
a
how much?
closing down sale, and so that means everything is going half price of what it normally would be. So the healing potions, if you just come with me, he says as he sort of moves his way through these various glass bits and bobs and things, and he eventually gets to this rather neat looking chest, which he opens up, and you can see inside 3 of these glass vials that have got this very, very it's an interesting liquid because it's glowing slightly. There's a slight peach tint to the liquid inside, and there's little bubbles every now and again when he sort of picks up the flask. You notice that he picks it up very carefully, and then he holds it in his hand. So this is the greatest healing potion that you're ever going to find. This is a Zavilo 1000, and it will heal anything.
I don't think we can handle his strongest potions.
I don't
know about that, considering some of the things we've encountered recently.
Yeah, so...
Will it heal the world?
It looks a little volatile.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's exactly what it does. Absolutely. Because, I was thinking, if you have to drink the healing potion, that could potentially be something that you can't do. Because what happens if your head's been cut off, for example? Then you can't drink it, can you? No. So that's impractical. So what I have designed is, this is an explosive healing potion. That's right. You throw it at the person as they're about to die, it explodes, and it automatically injects healing potion directly into the body, because the glass shards from the vial actually punch the skin, causing the liquid to be directly infused into the system. It's absolutely works every time. Well, at least when I practiced it.
Right.
I think we're looking for something a little more standard.
I mean, I'm just liable.
It is very fascinating, but we're on. I'm not sure we have the means to carry that around safely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the chest, they're absolutely fine. The chest it's got a little system inside of it which kind of balances depending on which way you carry it. But if you turn it upside down, of course, it'll explode. The chest will never die once that happens.
In the first storm, we'll hear a boom from the infirmary.
All right, so yeah, he kind of tries to peddle it for a little bit more, but he can see that you want the more usual stuff, and he kind of a little bit crestfallen, and then he kind of walks over to this glass display where you can see he's got not stacks, but he's got 4 healing potions. They look the traditional sort of apple red color with the cork stoppers in them, and he's like, well, These are the usual kind of things that people buy before they go on a hunting expedition out into the forests. It'll restore most people back to full health, but you've got to drink it. It's completely inert. It doesn't do anything exciting. It just
If you shake it, it doesn't explode.
I know, it's the worst.
No, so it's very mundane. These retail for 55 gold each. That's the half price.
55 is the half price?
That's right. It's not very easy to make them, I'll have you know.
No, but that's really expensive.
No, it's not really. Have you got any other
If we
stuff?
buy in bulk, will the cost go down?
Yes.
Let's do that then.
All right, I'll sell you all four for 420 gold.
All
wait,
four? No, that's not right. 200.
220 gold. Yes, that's right. That's half price.
That's
absolutely.
That's not giving me a discount for buying in bulk. Can we try again?
Well, that's not buying in bulk. That's only buying 4 potions.
fine. If we buy all of them,
Right.
will
so
you give us a
all-
discount? Yes. No.
But if I had bulk, you could have bought in bulk, and then I would have given you a discount. So think that you got the discount, but you just chose not to buy in bulk. That's all. So it was actually your decision, not mine.
It's got a point.
He does.
Sure. Why not?
I'm not
All right.
following this argument particularly well, but
How about we think about that, and I can ask about. We can think it over. I
right.
was wondering what you have in terms of spell books or books on magic types, because I was quite interested in weather magic myself, since we're on a sailing ship.
Oh, you better not say that here. Oh, no, you can't say
Why?
that here.
Why?
The Isle of the Druids. They get really upset when you stuff around with weather.
Oh, I see. It's not okay.
Well, it's their thing, isn't it? I mean, that's what they do.
Well, that's why I was going to ask on the island of the Druids.
Right. No. If you want a book on horticulture or growing plants really fast, I've got some of that stuff. It doesn't sell here, oddly enough. I mean, no one wants to buy that.
I guess
thought
I got
was
the
gonna
wrong
be a
way.
short seller, but
Right. So no scrolls or books on weather magic at all.
Well, let me go and have a look in the catalogue somewhere. Oh dear. Yeah, he kind of leaves. He's left the glass case open, so the 4 potions are right there.
No. I'm going to look around the place while he's gone, see if I find anything interesting.
All right, that's what you
Get the street urchin.
No, no stealing.
oh,
Back to
Fang
Con and
Veer.
Blackson as they march following this Fangveer as he strides down into the dock. You can see he kind of gives the Sagitta ship a once-over. There's a sort of it sounds like he's sucking his teeth when he looks at the ship. Then he looks over at the Windswift and he pauses and then turns and gives the two of you a look. You didn't tell me that she was one of these.
You didn't
I kind
ask.
of feel like that's cheating.
Well, you didn't
Not actually
ask,
a
did you?
ship, is it?
We told you she was interesting.
We told you
Wow.
didn't see this in detail before. And you didn't really listen to us. You were really entranced with your own...
Don't antagonize him.
Let's just see if there's any captain damage, shall we? He says. He sort of walks towards the front of the ship. You hear Lieutenant Ty Jorik as she says, "Captain's approaching, sir, with a strange-looking man."
All right, Ty, he's with us.
Oh, right you are, sir.
You heard Con.
He
I go back
strides
to my meditation.
the deck and he sort of looks around at the deck. He's like, yes. All right. Well, at least they chose, I suppose, a decent sort of stout wood to start with, although it's not what I would have chosen. It's very heavy, you know. They probably added double the amount of power that they needed to.
So we are close to the ship at this point, or on the ship?
Yeah, well, he's walked onto the ship, correct.
All right, so we were on the ship. Then I would
Yes.
tell Gisani to get me the Jockenstokes, because they would be more his ilk.
Right you are. She goes off. A few moments later, the Jockenstokes come up. They take one look at Fangveer. Fangveer takes one look at them. He
Just
turns
lightning
back.
strikes between them.
The Jockenstokes go, "Oh, how nice. You've brought a professional carpenter on board, sir." How
Now,
can we
and I
help?
would tell it to the Jockenstokes. Now, explain to this fine gentleman, creature,
Right.
Gentle person.
gentleman.
Jockenstokes, Fangvir, what we have here is a unique opportunity to take something really quite interesting and make it even more interesting. I hope that you'll be able to combine your talents and imagination to fix the problem and make our ship even better. I trust that between the three of your immense talents, such a task will result in a magnificent upgrade to our vessel. What say you?
You don't need to make an insight check because there are 3 people currently looking at you going, I'm the one who's got the most talent here. And
I'm going to show it to you. Nice.
all 3 of them are looking
Very
at you.
diplomatic.
There's sort of some mumbling from all 3 of them. Well, I suppose we could sort of take a look. Yeah, all right. Well, probably not.
You're going to have random upgrades all over the ship.
So I would then extend my hand to Fangwea and say, does this sound like a deal to you then?
Well, I haven't seen the damage yet, but I suppose, yes. All right, fine. At the moment, it doesn't look like I'll be burning anything down.
Great.
You see Waffen kind of glaring at him, and Qualen's hand starts to go towards one of the belaying pins to try and sort of grab a weapon. As he turns and looks at the 2 gnomes, like, "All right, well, show me the damage. Show me what's wrong with her. Let's figure her out." And then he turns back to you and he says, "Hang on a moment. I understand why you're here, but why is it a problem that she's taking on water? Isn't she supposed to be..."
Not anymore, no.
What?
We need
Right.
operationally for her to function better in water from time to time. Much better than she does at the moment.
You're on a special mission.
Suit yourselves. All right, let's go and have a look at this hole, and you lead on. You hear them sort of muttering and...
I give Ty a sort of significant look at Jorik and I go, right, I have more people to try and speak to.
I nod and
This is
say,
gonna end well.
anything specific happening here while we were gone?
The Sagitta were here and nosing around. They have a man watching us down on the pier.
Oh,
A casual glance, and you see there's the Sagitta. He's got a pile of cigarettes next to him, and he's just sort of sitting there.
just like quiet.
It's just
Starting
going to
to
keel
slowly go
over by the
green.
end of the day. It doesn't even smoke.
just waiting. I just look at Con and say, so do you want me to accompany you to the Druids, or?
You're more than welcome to come along, as I say.
All right, then let's see what this Sagitta has to say.
All right.
My
Okay,
guess.
so Con, you're going off to the head office of the Druids. Blackson, you're not going to the Sagitta?
I want to go to the Sagitta, but I think I'm going with Con at least,
I
right?
imagine
So
we're going to have to walk past him.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can. Okay. Jorik, you staying on the ship?
Yes, I'm keeping track on the ship.
Okie dokes. And the 2 of you are obviously with Zorvillos. All right, so Blackson and Con leave the ship once again. Jorik is still on the ship. Back to Zorvillos so that we can wrap that one up. He comes back again, and he is holding a very old scroll. And he says to you, look, this is the only thing that I've got, because there was another bunch that came through. Oh, when was it? Oh, it was about...
Can I have a look at it?
6 months ago, somewhere around there. Anyway, they bought pretty much everything else that I had that was left. Absolutely. He says, just don't read it out loud, please. We don't need a hurricane.
Of course not.
That would be very bad.
What does it do?
As you open it up, you're going to need to give me an Arcana check, please, because it's quite a powerful incantation.
Yes, that is exactly.
That is 17.
17. You read it and you think that this is some form of rather large-scale weather control to the creation of a tempest of some kind over quite a large area. You're not entirely sure of the total efficacy of the spell, but it'll take you... It's a ritual spell that you're going to have to cast, but you're fairly certain that you could turn at least 5 square miles of ocean into a rather unfortunate place to be.
At my spot or at another spot?
You designate an area that you can see. So it'd be like over there. I can see the horizon. I want it over there. You think if you cast the spell correctly. If you cast it incorrectly, of course, it'll happen right on top of you.
Oh, well, of course.
But that's a risk you run with these kinds of rituals.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure this is what I'm looking for. What would you want for this?
Oh, that's to 250.
250?
Yeah.
Okay, if we buy the potions and the scroll, can we have the whole lot for 400?
That's like a 70 gold discount. 450.
Yes. Well, you said you wanted to get rid of this stuff.
Closing down sale.
How many other people do you actually think you're going to find that wants this scroll on Druid Island?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it's worth 250 here.
430. They're good healing potions.
Actually, I wanted to know as well, do you have anything that would enable communication over long distances, or medium distances, as it were? Like magical items or a spell or...
Different section, I'm afraid. I'm not part of section 10.
Section 10?
Yeah, it's a gnomish thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just I'm not part of that long range communication. Not my thing. So
right. Sorry.
Yeah, 415.
That goes so against my Sagitta nature. It's not been a good haggle. Haggling?
Sagitta nature is screaming at each other until they agree.
Did I find anything else interesting while I was looking around when he was in the back?
Yeah, so most of the stuff is alchemical stuff. It looks like it's a lot of fertilizer, basically, that he's been manufacturing, because you realize that there's very little else that people would need here in Denethwold. The healing potions look like they move fairly regularly. You suspect, by looking at some of the apparatus, that he could quite possibly generate maybe like 10 vials in a week if he worked quite studiously. It just does look like he hasn't been doing very much at all, really, to be commercial. One thing that you did find is a portrait of another gnome who looks very similar to this one, only much older. And that portrait was sort of hanging on the wall. It's covered in dust and cobwebs and sort of forgotten about.
Is that your father over there, perhaps?
Yeah. Taken before his time. Yeah. Tragedy.
Fertilizer incident.
he used to run the shop. Actually, it was his endeavor. Right. Yeah, never been my thing.
So,
really.
No, I suppose not. Well, is that why it's shutting down? You're looking to do something else?
Yeah. I'm on an island that's full of druids. What do they need? They don't need lights. They don't need fancy shows. Now I'm shutting up, and I'm hopefully going to buy passage on the ship.
Where to?
Elvish market. I reckon there's a big market there for signage. And I think the healing potions are going to go down really well there, especially on the border with the Assisi's kingdom. You know, where they got lots of violence. I've heard that there's skirmishes going on a regular basis. So I think they could buy into that. I think they could definitely buy into that. Yeah.
Well, in that case, 412.
412. And you put in a good word with the harbormaster that I'm not explosive.
You mean lie?
Well, it's not complete lie. I mean, most of the stuff have been cases which are designed to withstand blasts.
Okay, fine. We'll do that. 412 and a good word.
You wouldn't happen to be heading to Rhythmware, would you?
Well, anywhere within the Empire of Athane Vasul, their transportation system is actually, it's pretty it's a grade. It's wonderful. It's lovely. It's fantastic. It's brilliant.
Because we're heading there next in a few days.
We'll give you passage if you know the price to 400.
What?
Passage to Wraithwendir for 4 to drop a deal.
No, that's worth a lot more. Passage to Wraithwendir.
Deal. It's done.
No.
Signed. It's done. Money's exchanged hands already. It's great.
No, it hasn't. We'd have to check with the rest of the people on our ship if we have a room.
Well, you can't.
We might not have.
Take it back. I might as well just go back to 450 then. No, 400.
No.
Okay, I think we could do it.
Besides, I'm pretty sure that. Yes, but I'm pretty sure that the whole taking people on board thing. Maybe we should check with it. I mean, it's not as big a deal now as it was before. Definitely.
It's not like we're gonna be flying.
What?
Back to Jorik as this calamity unfolds itself. Jorik, you are in meditation, and again, there's a tapping on your shoulder from Mios.
Mios sees Jorik twitch and disappear.
Oh God!
And then about 4 or 5 seconds later, he reappears, very, very wet and cursing like a madman.
Wait, Jorik is wet and cursing like a madman.
Yes! What is it?
He's trying to work out how you got from there to in there, very wet.
I was trying to figure out how to teleport. I apparently figured it out. Yes, what is it?
Okay. That man is saying that he's not used to being kept waiting. And that he wants to see you. I didn't go anywhere near him. I did not go anywhere near him. I was busy watching Kev wash the decks, and then suddenly he was talking to me through the window. Well, sort of through the door. He was shouting, actually.
From the cell, or what?
No, he was in the map room.
This is becoming a problem. Fine. Yes. Whatever. Go back to your business. I'll deal with it.
Thank you, sir. Where do you head?
God. I head down to the brig. Splash, 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 splash.
With your wet boots.
Yeah.
So you get down to the brig and you see lounging in his cell, Ulkov. Now you finally arrive.
See, the deal was you stay in your cell. Don't make me go back on my promise.
The deal was that I do not expect to be ignored. We are in harbor. You did not tell me we were going to any harbor.
We need to repair the ship, or you're never getting the Drakenmore, so shut up.
This is not a problem. As a matter of fact, I was actually calling you to give you my gratitude for bringing me here. It has been so long, and now with this deal about not using your crew for sustenance, this village will be useful. I want to know how long we're going to be here so that I can plan my menu better.
We will likely be here for a few days. We don't know yet.
I'm very pleased about this, but let me tell you now, I don't like to be kept waiting.
Yes, you've said that on several occasions, and my only response to that is get used to it.
I understand now how it was that you got out of Drakenmoor. It is that kind of tenacity which normally would be destroyed the moment it is surfaced. And you have somehow managed to evade that and make your way out of Drakenmoor. What a pity that they lost such a fiery independence. But the future of Drakenmoor will see people like yourselves elevated to a much better position. I assure you. I have had a long time to think how I'm going to restructure the old country and reform it so that the association between the dukes and the inhabitants is a much more amiable one, where together they can see Drakenmoor flourish.
I thought you were going to wipe out the dukes. Or are you referring to...
I will make people who are better than what is currently festering in that wonderful homeland of mine.
Sounds good to me.
You may go now.
As you wish, my lord. And I walk out.
They might be
Slush,
independent, but they still don't forget who's in charge.
He's going to be so surprised.
Blackston and Con, you two arrive at this.
I go change clothes, by the way.
Right. He kind of looks at you. He smiles. Nice day.
Suggest intelligence, eh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So what is your interest in our ship?
You know, the thing...
Can you mute yourself if you type so much?
Sorry.
The ship, my master wished for to purchase it.
Mm-hmm. And why did you stay here then?
To make sure it doesn't sink before he comes back with his offer.
Right. I think he would get a better deal if it already sunk, eh? So let's drop the pretenses. Why are you here?
Quite unprofessional. I mean, you'd think that a proper intelligence unit would be able to pull off a surveillance without sticking out like a sore thumb. I mean, you're just regular army, aren't you? Or, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, but if my presence here offends you, I can go and smoke on another dock.
Yeah, do that.
He stands up and he kind of gives you two.
And you can tell your superior officer that if he wants to deal with us, he needs to tell the truth. I'm done with shenanigans.
He generally wants to buy your ship, as far as I know. But hey, I'm just a deckhand. What do I know?
Sure you are.
He says as he slinks off, sort of throws the cigarette into the water and carries on going.
Amateurs.
All right, where do you go from here?
I guess to wherever I would find a representative of druidic authority.
The Archdruid of the city or whatever.
Yeah, so that's basically in the upper bowers of the city, and it doesn't take you long to make your way there. You notice, Con, as you're walking through, that there are dozens of druids moving about, going about their daily business. Blackston, you notice there's a certain amount of calmness about some of the individuals. It's like there's a oneness almost with this entire space as you get higher and higher up into the boughs of the tree. And eventually you are ushered into the upper bough, which the trunk of one of the biggest trees has opened out. And it's almost like a flat crown that's spread about you. And there are several circles of individuals talking. And there's two very large werewolves that are standing in rather ornate, it looks like wooden armor. And as you approach, they step forward and one of them says, "State your business."
In druidic, I say that I am, well, introduce us basically, and would seek audience with the city authority on matters of great import of druidic council in general.
Immediately, once you start speaking in Druidic, he bows fairly low. Forgive me, I did not recognize you as one of the members of the sanctuary. I'm afraid your companion will not be able to go with you. If he needs to run an issue with the city, he can speak to Chancellor Rune. He is responsible for all non-Druidic affairs here on Deneth Wold. As for yourself, you are, of course, welcome within the sanctuary of the tree.
I understand. Turn to Blackston. Well, It is rather as I suspected. It's kind of an exclusive circle beyond this point.
I shrug and say, I can wait here.
Okay, wish me luck.
Good luck.
All right.
I kind of sit down. Is there like a stair or whatever where I can sit down?
There's
Or
quite a large
route that
platform
kind of
allows you-
formed in the way.
Yeah, and you can also look out over the whole city from here. It's even more spectacular than from Bow 2.
Yeah.
So you can sort of monitor the movings and goings on of almost.
I would then draw my arming sword and start to sharpen it with a whetstone.
Sure. The one werewolf looks over at the sword and he sort of quips, "It's quite the fine blade you have there. You must be rather proud of that blade."
It's a tool.
Right, he says, and he sort of goes back to inattention.
But like, how is he? This is it werewolf?
Yeah.
How is he equipped?
Wooden armor, it's more ceremonial than anything else. So it's very it looks like grapevines that have curled around, and then inside the branches it's solidified into this wonderful sort of teak colored wood. So shoulder pads, a rather large breastplate.
So I would then say, and kind of put the sword to the side and get the club out. If you are allowed, we could spar while we wait. Could be more interesting and beneficial. I never fought a being such as you.
He looks over at his companion, and the companion kind of looks back into the circle of the druids, which now that you're looking at it, you realize it's actually sort of shimmering. So although it's at the top of the tree, which is opened out, there's obviously a dome of some kind, because they look like they're in it's almost like an amber colored space.
So the dome you're saying is more like energy rather than a canopy?
Yes, it certainly feels like that. Maybe once I've got off shift, I think that'd probably be more appropriate. They're quite touchy as of late.
I shrug and get back to my sword.
Strange things, but it's much appreciated. It really is. Yeah. Con, you step through this shimmering barrier, and you feel that tremendous surge of speed, and you realize that what you've stepped into is you've stepped into a tree portal, and all it's doing is it's teleporting you from wherever you were. So in Denis Wold, it's teleporting you to the heart of Sanctuary.
So good. You need to climb all the stairs to that just to present somebody else.
It lasts for maybe a second, and you step out on the other side, and there's that residual feeling of warm golden syrup all over your skin without it being sticky, which is the best part. As the sap of the trees has teleported you to the center of the island of Sanctuary. And there's druids all about. They don't even notice when you arrive. One of them comes hobbling over. It's a little goblin of sorts. Good day, welcome to Sanctuary. Who do you want to speak to?
Good question.
Well, you come from Denis Wold. I'm assuming it's some kind of Denis Wold associated thing. You want to speak to the Willikin?
No. Well, what I have to discuss kind of... I stumble for a bit, feeling a bit wrong-footed and intimidated.
It's very impressive. It's the first time you've been here. Obviously, you haven't been here before. Take it in.
I need to invoke the highest order of secrecy.
Yeah, right. Let me guess. You've got a little grove that's under attack by a bunch of farmers. They want to expand their farmlands, and it's a matter of life.
No, I can't really tell you because I don't know who you are.
Drop the bus.
He looks around.
Drop the bike.
I'm in the middle of the most protected space in all of Braxia, and you can only get here by speaking Druidic. And you don't know. You don't think that you can trust me?
Who are you?
Well, the name's Goldanki. Thank you very much for asking. I am, or may be, or happen to be, Birchkin. Yes, you know that ranking system? You know the ranking system of the Druids? Birchkin, like 5 ranks below highest rank, just there. Yeah, that's me. That's where I sit. Thank you.
They have 6 ranks in total, right?
Totally.
Anyway, so what's your deal? What's I can't send you to the right people. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to send you to the Oakkin. I'm not going to send you to the highest order of our order because you've got.
Well, all right. If I have to summarize, I have 2 problems to present towards you, both of which transcend the status quo set in place by the Treaty of or the Orders.
You're going to have to be a little bit more specific than that. I mean, are they trying to tear down some standing stones and it's actually an anchor that they've torn down, in which case, then you've got to get rid of the wrong people.
Make the mic drop!
Is it, what is it?
Well, no, it's just first, the short-term problem is we have, you will recall the vampire baron who was locked up by his colleagues in the Order prison.
Mate, I don't know. It's his.
Yeah, he's on our boat in
what? Where's the boat? Where is the boat?
Denethwold Harbour.
And you brought a vampire to Sanctuary. You
unintentionally. We thought we'd let you know since we found out. Perhaps you'd be interested in doing something about that.
Oh, you think so? You just stay right there.
Wait, I'm not finished.
No, you are. There's
a longer term problem as well.
No. I'm only level 5. I'm so far from the top that I can't hear any more of it. I don't understand.
I did try and warn you.
Yeah, well, you didn't say that you had vampires on your ship at the time.
Vampire dukes, actually.
I tried to invoke the highest order of secrecy. I thought I was making myself quite clear at the time.
Yeah, but you've got to... Never mind that. That's all in the past now. Okay, just you stay there. He turns around and he goes, Mom! And he just stops. All the other druids are kind of looking around, looking at the whole situation as they're trying to understand exactly what's going on.
So good.
Because it seems very, very odd that poor old Goldanki has been so upset. He sort of wave at some of the druids.
Like,
Hi.
All right, back to Adressai and Saket. So 400 squared up.
Look, Mr. Savello, do you speak High Elven?
I do actually.
Oh, you do? Huh.
Yes.
Would you excuse us for one moment? And I grab Saket and sort of push her to the other side of the store.
Right.
Well, I was going to do this in High Elven, but apparently he speaks it already. Look, I realized...
Saket doesn't speak High Elven, I think.
Yeah, I know she does.
Oh, she does, okay. I don't.
No. I realized just, moments after I offered that even if we're a little bit undercover, we're not actually a normal ship and we can't take him on board.
But we've got a vampire on board. I mean, I don't think this is worse than the vampire.
Well, yes, but, I mean, we are going to murder the vampire.
Yes,
like, to be fair.
You can go on board, we just got to kill you. But...
I don't think
cold-blooded. It's definitely murder.
Do you think we can get him back to 412? Because I think that's probably... I don't think we can really get him on.
Okay, so 412 and a good word, and we'll help him find passage on his ship, because it's going to be a bit hard now, because we're going back on our word. You understand how haggling works?
No, I really don't. I'm very sorry. I spoke without
thinking. You don't promise things that you cannot offer.
Yes, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. You know what that's like.
Yeah, we've been there before.
Yeah, we've been there before. Okay,
and grave robbing and etc. etc.
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
It seems like.
All right,
and then reality hits. Yes.
Let's go have another chat.
I'm terribly sorry, but I overspoke before, and I'm afraid we won't be able to offer passage on our ship. But
however, We will go up to 412. We'll do a good word, and we'll help you find passage on another ship, possibly a Sagitta one, which would take you to an elven empire.
That is an empire.
With elves.
I don't think they
Sunshine.
Look, they are mostly a desert. If you can help them get plants to grow in the Sagitta Empire, you're going to be a freaking king. Pharaoh, whatever.
You realize that I mean that's pretty much what these people ask me to do every single damn time is just to make that's what I do. I mean that's my thing. It's like
if you can sell that, if you can sell this to druids, you can sell it in Sagitta.
All right, you got me. I 412 plus an introduction to the Sagitta captain of the ship, so you can get me passage to the Sagitta Empire, and we're golden. Absolutely lovely.
Okay, I can wrangle that for you. We might have done them inadvertently a favor, so I think I can definitely wrangle that for you. Okay, great. So here are 4 gold pieces.
412 gold pieces.
412 gold pieces. Yes.
Yes. Good.
I very much have the
puts his hands on them and pulls them over. All right, fantastic. I'll be ready to go in about 6 hours.
We'll be staying for a couple of days. We'll get back to you when we've found
a couple of days.
No, it's fine. That's us, not you. I will go.
Right, yeah, well.
No, I will go and speak.
Okay. I have to leave fairly soon, actually. I a couple of days.
Why?
What did you do?
Nothing. I haven't done anything. Why would you say I've done something? I haven't done anything.
Because you have to leave in a hurry.
6 hours.
Yes,
and you're trying to sell everything you've got in your shop.
You've been here for 10 years. It's boring. I'm over it. I want to move on now. And you're offering me the paradise of a giant desert with a blazing sun, just waiting for my fertilizer.
It's basically one big beach.
Ever been fertilizer around a breaking sun? It's.
They're really going to love that fertilizer.
Right.
Okay. I mean, melons need a lot of fertilizer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, fine. Okay, well, I'll wait for you then. I'll pack up and close. Well, I'm going to try and sell this stuff. You don't know it needs glass, do you?
Glass.
No. Okay. All right, fine. No glass.
It's harder for me to sort out for you.
Yeah.
But
Right,
you're a salesperson. That's
we'll
your
make
thing.
a deal. We'll make a deal. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Right.
All right. Okay, where do the two of you head after that?
I guess we have to go and talk to the Sagitta ship.
Maybe it's not the only one.
It probably is.
Probably. I want to also. I'm going to hand. Since she did all the paying, I'm going to hand Sagitta 200 gold to pay for the scroll and sort of stuff it away. And then I want to go to the harbour and look for tourist crap.
All right. So
I need a souvenir.
Okay, I'm going to have to accompany her on that little trip and drag her slowly towards the Sagitta. I mean,
Hey, while I can do it while you talk to the captain, I don't think you want me there mucking things up again.
Possibly not. No. Okay. But we really should stick together. I mean,
I'll be in sight.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you. Try not to buy any rugs either.
No mugs. No mugs.
Jorik is making sure that there's no catastrophe happening on the ship, and he's waiting for Blackston and Con to come back, and for Cat and Adresai to come back. So mostly just trying not to drown himself again.
Okay. Con, back to you. You are waiting for a few moments, and then this very old looking man with a beard that describes someone who has never seen a razor in his life comes walking up to you. He looks, as he's getting closer and closer, you realize that it's really wrinkled skin. It actually isn't wrinkled skin, it's more like bark. And he's gathered around him are several other druids who kind of move with the care of people who are helping someone who is very, very old move very, very, very carefully. making sure that he doesn't fall over and doesn't topple and that sort of thing. And he fixes you with a gaze. You have only heard of him. He must be the Oaken, who is the head of the order of the Druids. He is known as Oaken Valus. And it's rumored that he was it's rumored that he is several thousand years old, having survived for a very long time as a tree
during the Dragon Age too, then, right?
Correct.
Well,
And he looks at you and he says, "You're Con or Danner, aren't you?"
yes, my lord. As they
You
approach,
abandoned us, if I recall correctly. Wandering off, joining some fandangled treaty or something.
He got off your lawn.
never abandoned. So no.
Well, you're part of the... Which order was it? He sort of looks around at his assistants, who immediately lean in and whisper in his ears, and he looks back. The Hibari!
Yes, my lord. The order Histari.
What's this lord nonsense? What have they been filling your head with? We're all the same here. Were you born with the title of peasant? I don't think so. I wasn't born with the title of lord, certainly. We're friends here, Con. You've come home. That's all that's important. Now, what's this nonsense about you bringing a vampire into our very midst?
Well, it's a long story, but...
Make it short. I don't know how many more leaves I can afford to lose.
The essence of it is that the vampire came aboard in the course of our last mission.
What's he doing outside of Drakenmore?
Well, my knowledge of this history is sketchy, but I understand that he was imprisoned by his fellow dukes. He has leveraged a separate catastrophe at the prison of Knaxa to escape.
You heard about a disturbance there.
Yes. Well, that brings me to the other problem I've come to speak with you about, which concerns the dragons themselves. I then pretty much tell him everything. Once I start going, is given the sort of way he's invited this conversation to proceed, I kind of find myself sort of spilling out.
So you tell him that there's a connection in the engines. The order knows about it. At least you think they know about it. What do you tell him?
Yeah.
Khan is finally having his therapeutical spelling.
His water
just, exactly that.
Get it all out. It's okay.
Lie down on the couch.
It would appear that the order has known about this and deliberately maintained the status quo for some time now. Yes. This has given my fellow captains and I more trouble than we care to go into at this point. But we've decided that we don't think that this is the correct way for things to be. I know it's arrogant. We 5 have decided this, but there must be a better way, right? I mean, there was almost a break-in of dragons at Knaxa. It's inherently weak system that will be exploited by others. The Draxvikari clearly are not all dealt with, or there are cells independently operating. There are projects we knew nothing about, like this attempt to turn the prison into a portal. It's a, if you pardon my frankness, it's a shit show.
He gestures with this old hand, and you can see the tips of his fingers look more like branches with leaves sprouting out of them. And once you started to talk, all the other druids started to move away, except for his little conclave of individuals. And a moment later, one of the younger druids comes forward holding a wooden bowl with this white milky substance in it. And he looks back at you and he says, "Will you take of the sap so that we might know you can know Dana? You've heard of this ritual. Taking the sap basically infuses a tree with you, the sap, the tree that the sap comes from. And the trees know, the tree basically knows your soul, for lack of a better word. And then, of course, the druid can speak to the tree, and the trees do not lie. They don't have a concept of deception."
Of course.
The bowl is handed to you, and you can see it's a very oily like substance, almost like milk more than anything else.
Well, I try and put out all the wild, fanciful stories that are told in druidic adept school or whatever when you're young and training about what happens to you.
This is the final brainwashing that happens, and once you've taken this, you turn into a werewolf.
You quite literally drink the Kool-Aid, eh?
And then I drink.
All right. Give me a Constitution saving throw, please, as you take a sip of this sap.
Sip of the sap.
Sippy sap.
So that would be
Sappy cup.
2.
Oh dear.
As you sort of take down a gulp of it, you perhaps didn't intend to take an entire swig of it, but it kind of you realize that it's just a little bit more gooey than it was. So it was like a bit of a sip, and then you also had to take more because it was going to pour out the sides. But as you take that, you get this tremendous sense suddenly that your feet are just extending away in front of you and down into this wonderful, cool, moist soil, and that your hair and your ears are just opening out to this amazing canopy, and there's golden, warm sunlight just washing down all over you. And your central core is just filling up with this golden moisture, this golden joy. And then there's the last thing that you see before suddenly the world becomes a forest is a lot of very concerned druids kind of rushing towards you. And then suddenly it's just trees. And you're
the last thing all the druids hear is, "Good grief."
Who didn't say drink everything?
Laxton, you are waiting patiently with your blade, and stepping out from this chamber is this very tall looking human female druid, and she doesn't look disheveled or anything like that. Her hair is actually quite short cropped, quite neatly styled. It's a sort of a dusty blonde look to it, and she steps over to you and she says, "I'm awfully sorry to ask this of you, but I do require you to answer fairly honestly. I'm a friend of your Con O'Dana, and he's informed me of certain things that I believe are aboard your vessel.
I nod.
You need to act fairly quickly if these are to be true. Your friend is not in any danger. He's talking with the Oakkin as we speak. But if what he says is true, then we need to take certain precautions."
I nod. Didn't ask me a question yet, but...
The creature that's aboard your vessel, is it secured?
Can it be? I don't think it can be secured. It wasn't even secured in a high security prison. So I would say no.
She looks at the last rays of sun as it's about to set.
Oops.
She looks back at you. Then we have a problem.
Yes.
How much
that's
do you
why
know
we came
about
to
it?
And I kind of look around to say, like, here?
Really? Just you and her and then the two guards, no one else.
I would then say his name, and I actually apparently have it written down wrong. I wrote down Roran, was it? Ulkov. Okay.
Yeah.
Its name is Duke Ulkov. He is one of the dukes, well, former dukes.
Correction, he was one of the dukes. He was one of the 9 originally, and I believe
Yes.
he was destroyed by the other 8.
No, he was not. He was imprisoned in Naxun, and he escaped Naxun about a week ago, and we found him on our boat.
Just found him there.
Is there a reason why he didn't attack and destroy your crew straight away? It's very uncharacteristic of a vampire to leave warm blood.
He wanted passage to Drakenmore to enact revenge and start a rebellion, I guess.
That's interesting. I had to leave before Con got to that part. Do you believe he can be negotiated with?
He's a vampire.
I'm glad you said that. It means you're on our side. All right. She looks down.
I saw the way.
She looks at your ship in the harbour. If he's on board your vessel now, is your vessel particularly important?
I pause for a second and I say, a vessel is very important to us. I doubt this vessel is any longer.
I see. Right. She takes a few steps back and she raises out her hands and she then pauses for a moment.
My crew, however, is very important to me.
So as not to raise suspicion of this being, can I request that you return to your vessel and quietly evacuate everybody? I will just entomb this creature in your vessel.
I nod.
Unless you have an alternative.
Can a creature such as this be killed? I saw one once be disintegrated. Well, I didn't see it, but...
Generally, that's how it works. Expose them to sunlight and they're usually destroyed. During the night, of course, it becomes a lot more difficult. Containing him on this island won't be a problem. The risk, however, is that he infects others whilst he's here. A full-scale invasion of Sanctuary by the...
He was tried to imprison once. It worked for a time, but not in the end.
We won't keep
But the current circumstances of our situation, I think we should not, if we can destroy something, we should not try to entomb it. And I kind of, this is a little bit more than just the vampire talking about here.
Do you think that he's going to attack the city?
I don't think he wants an open war with you. However, he is a vampire, and the man has his needs.
She sort of looks away, and then she recomposes herself and looks back at you. I see.
I want to destroy this being with the whole of my heart.
My instructions from the Oakkin were to assess the situation from an external perspective. It's not that we don't trust Connor Danner, it's just that the process that he's going through to verify things can take some time. We were worried that it might be too long.
And I say, we came here out of necessity from our ship, but also when the circumstances arise that to ask for help, as Con did. and we were quite, well, at least I am, quite focused on destroying it. If we can bind it for the night, entomb it for the night, and maybe destroy it in the morrow when the sun and its rays may destroy it, that might be an easy solution, but this being needs to be destroyed. He left his homeland and the other 8 dukes, and I don't think we'll get another opportunity like that in this.
I agree with you completely. However, I'm also very much aware that they're very intelligent, and I would be reluctant to act before we know exactly what we're going to do with him. As you say, he was in prison once, but that didn't work so well. Do you think he suspects anything at the moment?
I cannot know for sure. I know he was in prison for a long time and he is set for revenge. That might blind him, but you said yourself he is an intelligent being, wretched as he is. So just banking on it might be a crucial mistake.
Do you think you would be able to keep him within your vessel without raising his suspicions for one night?
How would I go about it?
I don't know. You're the one who knows this vampire of some sort. You've spent more time with him than I have. I'm just thinking that if we are to act now and we don't fully understand his power, he may do more damage to the city than I'm willing to accept. Whereas if at least we can keep him busy until the sun is up, it gives the advantage to us, as well as gives the Oaken time to process.
Okay. I am fairly certain that he will feed tonight, and there's nothing we can do about it. It might be our crew, it might be out in the city. If he's in the city, I don't know what he will do.
If he's in the city, he'll know where he is. Does he know that you've brought him to Sanctuary?
I mean, he just needs to take a look outside. We didn't tell him, but...
What I'm about to propose goes against everything that I believe in. But we could possibly provide a sacrifice to be sent to your ship if you think you can convince him to remain on board. If he discovers that he's in Sanctuary, I'm fairly certain that he will do everything he can to do as much damage as he can before we act. He will know that there is no way that we will tolerate vampires on our soil.
Okay, then let me ask a different question. If you're not willing to fight him tonight, which might be dangerous, as you said yourself, can you keep him from leaving the boat, the ship, the vessel? Even if he would know that you did something. Do you think it would be beneficial to do that?
It might take some time to set up.
You just asked if you just entomb him right here and there, but I'm not talking about eternity here. I'm talking about until the morrow. Yes. And if need be, I will face him and try to keep him in.
As she's about to answer, I'll come back to you. Back to the three of you, Saket and Adresai. You arrive at the Sagitta vessel. Saket, as you're approaching, you can see two of them that have been sort of set to guard on the docks stand up. They look over at you and they speak to you in Sagitta, saying, "Oh, how pleasantly surprising it is to see another of our kind here. What are you doing so far away from home?"
Well, that's a very, very long story that I can't tell you, but I've got other business to deal with. So I really need to speak to your captain.
Absolutely. I don't see why that should be a problem. Is your slave going to stay on the dock, or are you going to bring her on board?
Slave?
Excuse.
Do you speak Sagitta?
Call her back.
Damn, right, it's true.
Don't call her a slave. That's going to go down really badly. Okay? I'm just going to come on and remember she's a fellow captain. Okay?
All right. Suit yourself.
I know how, yeah. Normally she would be, but she's not. Anyway, Captain.
He takes you on board and he knocks on one of the large ornate doors, which eventually open and you're ushered into the captain's chambers. He stands as you arrive. He's obviously used to dealing with people who have fairly decent bearings about themselves. He looks you up and down. He immediately dismisses Adversai as unimportant and then says, I greet you in the name of the Sagitta Empire.
I greet you too in the name of the Sagitta Empire.
What brings you aboard our fine vessel?
I have information that I would like to use as a bargaining tool. I'm sure you know how this works. You're Sagitta. Let's not beat around the bush too much because I need to get on with this. So, okay.
He offers you a chair and takes a seat himself and then sort of snaps his fingers. Adversai, you see one of the lower caste Cathar coming in, clearly a slave, and they start to pour wine into 2 glasses, which they're going to take to serve to...
Just so you know, I'm wearing very fancy clothing. I'm wearing like the silk, like the deep green silk and the embroidery and the pearls and everything.
Saying, oh yes, dress your monkey as you would like to see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a jet.
Yeah.
Don't even bother.
No, I'm just gonna not make a fuss. I'm just gonna remain standing, just sort of looking around the room, see what I can see.
And try not to take offense over the next 20 minutes, okay?
That's quite all right.
Now, you said you had some information that you're willing to barter.
Well, yes. First of all,
what is it that you want?
I would like you to give passage to the tradesman.
Mr. Savillo?
Yes, Mr. Savillo. Thank you. Terrible name. Mr. Savillo would like passage to the Sagitta Empire, which I believe will be very beneficial to the Sagitta Empire with his wares, including some interesting potions and fertilizer he has. So, yes. And I think we both know why you are here. And I will give you the information you need to get the food bar out of here and go home.
All right, I'm listening. I'll take your Mr. Zavillo back to the Empire. So,
great. I will tell you that the Graith you are looking for is dead. One of our captains killed him on the prison island. He killed the puppy.
The puppy.
And I'm supposed to...
The puppy has been murdered.
You would accept that we
That's
would
why
bring
you're
him
here.
and he would assess your truthfulness.
You can do that, but I'm telling the truth.
He points at the slave who disappears. A few moments later, a very wretched-looking elf comes in. He's definitely from the Thane Basul Empire. And you can see he's got markings all over him. These are known as the Scriveners. They basically are truth detectors, if you like. Part of the Sagetti secret police's arsenal is that they have these individuals that are brought in to see whether you're telling the truth or not. Much more efficient that way. And he looks you up and down and he sort of apologizes for casting the spells upon a Sagetti born, and he sort of does the platitudes of he's just following orders type of thing, and
Yes.
incants a spell, and the captain then looks from him. He gives the captain a nod. The captain looks to you. You are telling me that one of your captains has killed the great
Huntkin.
infiltrator Huntkin that we were
Yes.
tracking down at Takatuman.
That is correct. He killed him on the prison island rather than let him and let the Sagitta Empire down and let him go back to his father. So he killed him quite solidly with the sword.
Dagger, actually. But...
Dagger.
Dagger, sorry.
Stab
Small
me.
sword.
He's dead. He's got stabbed with a sharp implement.
And you're fairly certain that he is definitely beyond
He-
repair.
Yes. I'm pretty damn sure he's not coming back as a zombie. I wouldn't want to see that zombie.
Well, that's interesting.
So, whatever
Can you
information
tell me which
Huntkin
captain
had,
it was that
gone.
killed him?
It was Blackstone. I'm quite happy to admit it was not me who had blood on my hands.
Interesting. Well, you have lived up to your end of the bargain, so we will take your Mr. Zaverlo back to Takatuman, where I can report to our good lord of this rather interesting development. Of course, it would have been better to get the dog back in the first place, but a death is suitable, I
Yes.
suppose.
No, the information
I will
died with
have a
him.
letter that I need to give to your Captain Blackstone, but it will take some time to transcribe into the common tongue.
Oh,
Will you
well,
still be in
yes.
port by 8th bell this evening?
I think we're stuck here until the repairs are done. So yes.
Meanwhile, in the background,
That's curious.
fighting vampires.
I'm not going to mention that.
Flying
Very
past.
well. In which case, then, you, of course, are welcome aboard our vessel as a loyal subject of the jet.
That's very kind of you, but no. I'm having tea with a Gruffalo.
I'm not sure what that means, but very well. Your services to the Sagitta Empire will not be forgotten. And your openness and candor certainly won't be either. Scrivener, you may go. And with that, he rises. Now, if there's no further business...
No, I don't think so. I'm going to go now and look after the salesperson. Like I said, the fertilizer and the healing potions he has will be of great interest to many people. Good for melons.
Well, a recommendation from someone like yourself certainly carries a lot of favor for him. I hope that he has sufficient coin to set himself up on the other side.
Yeah, I think we gave him quite a lot of ours.
You have traded with him yourself, then?
Yes.
Excellent. I will note that in his file. In which case, then, I thank you for your cooperation.
That's fine. I'll see you around.
You are escorted off the Sagitta vessel. The Windswift is directly opposite, so it's not difficult to get to.
Tourist things!
Oh, tourist things. Okay, off you go shopping.
Yes.
Shopping episode. I lied. You two go shopping.
It's happening.
It's happening, yeah. You go shopping. Back to Yukon. And
You are a
for
tree.
a moment, the tree and the peace and the tranquility of suddenly nothing matters. The dragons, the engines flying, it's all so silly now. Now it's just growing and just being. It's just marvelous.
He's turned into Harold from Fallout.
Yeah, and then as you're busy growing, suddenly it feels like someone's grabbed hold of your nether regions and is pulling very firmly down. There's it's this lower.
So he's pulling on his nuts. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, basically, his acorns are being wrenched, and that definitely breaks the concentration and the sense of peace and calmness. And then suddenly, it feels like this. It feels like this rubbery, latexy substance is being peeled off you, and it's sort of popping out of your ears and out of your nose, and it's suddenly cold and clammy, and then very, very dark, and you suddenly are back being con, and you can see several druids are over you. There is a rather aged-looking, round-faced woman. She definitely has her hands on your nether regions, which she stops pulling and gives you an apologetic, well, it's the only way to bring you back, darling. Trust me, I didn't want to do it.
So what happens to women then?
We needed you to come back. Well, that's the hose pipe. Yeah, you kind of are suddenly back in this space, and they all look
Feeling vaguely like I've been roofied by some rubber fetishists.
right. So they look at you and they're like, okay, well, that doesn't happen very often. You obviously have you have quite a lot of weight on your shoulders. The tree was trying to protect you from what you know, so it didn't want to let go. Anyway, you're back now, which is good. It's great. Can you hear us all right? Okay, can you speak so we know that you didn't leave anything behind?
Yes.
Oh, good. We don't want another rumor circulating amongst the acolytes. Okay, good. So the Oakkin wants to see you as soon as you're awake. Do you feel up to it? Do you feel like talking to the Oakkin?
Sure.
Right. Just wear this robe for now. It will be better.
I keep trying to photosynthesize. It's confusing.
Oh,
But otherwise, I'm okay.
all right.
So much meat.
Yeah, so they wrap you up in a cotton robe of sorts and take you into this lovely little tranquil space with flowers and vines growing and forming seats. And
It's a vampire.
Yes, the Oakkin is standing there and he's chatting to two other druids. And when you come in, he turns and he looks at you and he says, the vampire that's on your vessel, you say this is the 9th Duke.
Apparently.
You also mentioned that he escaped from Knaxa prison.
Yes.
Who operates Knaxa prison?
As far as I understand it, the Order.
The Order. The Order operates Knaxa prison, and they were maintaining a vampire there.
Correct. Among other things. Curious place.
More evidence that you don't help us overthrow them.
The vampires are, by law of the treaty of your order, forbidden from leaving Drakkenmore.
As I understand it.
So how does a vampire end up in Knaxa prison on the other side of the planet from Drakkenmore?
Well, as I understand it, the other 8 dukes facilitated that. And apparently, whoever was running the prison at the time cooperated.
You mean whoever was operating the prison allowed a vampire out of Drakkenmore, violating the treaties of the Order?
Yes.
That's not even the bad part.
Not even nearly the worst part.
And this very same Order has been using dragon technology, which, unless I'm very much mistaken, was forbidden by the Orders themselves for use by others.
Yes.
So this Order that you have chosen to work for, Con O'Donnell, has violated 2 of the most sacred edicts of the Treaty of the Orders.
Yes.
And you feel compelled to tell us this because...
Well, that brings me back to my original babble. The five of us recognize there's no going back from this.
You're damned right. There's no going back.
However, naturally, we feel that we are nevertheless faced with the responsibility of maintaining the system which keeps the dragons out of our world. And if the order in its current form is no longer fit for that purpose, then we must do what we can to make it fit for that purpose once more, or to replace it. The task of maintaining the anchors does not change. The task of keeping the dragons from returning to our world, as far as I understand things, unless I am completely naive in this world, and really we're all in league with the dragons at some level, and I'm merely rolling a massive stone up a hill, or there is a job to be done.
You want the Druids' help?
Well, we were kind of hoping for at least your support.
In what?
The future, whatever unfolds. That it was important enough that you should know
That's
what you
nebulous.
choose. Well, everything's become nebulous, hasn't it?
No,
But one thing's
as a matter
certain.
of fact, it hasn't.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, your actions have crystallized something that we have been fighting for since the treaties were put in place. As a matter of fact, what you have done, Con O'Dana, is brought to us a means by which we can resolve once and for all the vampire problem.
There's a
And if your precious
sound
order,
of joy from the window.
I just feel so great suddenly.
if your precious order is as corrupt as you say it is, and the treaties are as valuable as a piece of paper in a damp shop, then that means the Druids no longer recognize the Treaty of the Order and are free to act as we might so choose against the insufferable corruption that has been allowed to spread in Drakenmore. And you have delivered the means by which we will do so, Con O'Dana. And we'll be back next week as the adventures of Windswift continues even more as things unfold, plots thicken, and who knows what else happens. Probably more shopping. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you don't join us for the review post the game, so long, farewell. We'll see you next week. If you do the review, stick around because that's what's going to happen next. All right, it's Dice of Destiny. Who is going up first? Number 3, 1, 2, 3. Jorik, you're up first. The man who stayed on the boat and gave me nothing to work with.
Didn't even talk to the people who came to the boat.
No, go away.
No, actually,
Worked out teleportation.
yeah. Why did I do what I did? There are reasons for staying on the ship. One, Jory does not want to leave the ship unguarded with that asshole on board because he knows that basically he can do whatever he wants. Initially, he thought that he could keep it safe by not sending anyone down there who could be manipulated, but obviously he can get out anyway. So
Told you
yeah.
to get out.
Yes.
He
So-
did get out.
So that's the reason he wanted to stay. And also he's been a bit introverted lately. His those compartmentalization control techniques and whatever he's kind of been neglecting them, which means he's been in a strange headspace. So he needed some time alone, and being stuck on the ship is a good way to be alone. And he discovered teleportation.
Right.
That's basically just picked up, and I needed a role-playing reason for it to grow into him, and instead of just from one day to the next. Now you can teleport.
Right. No, that's lovely.
So he's meditating, he's exploring, etc., etc. So that's why I stuck back, really, because Jorik needed it as a character.
Yes.
And I don't mind sitting around listening to the other players playing either. So
That's
it was a deliberate choice on my end to just stay back this episode.
They kind of stopped
Adverse
Paxton from destroying the ship.
Yeah, it did.
Doesn't matter
Anderson?
if he's there or the crew for Blackstone.
Yeah, I think Blackstone just slaughter everyone if it means saving the world. Andrewside?
Yes. Well, no, there was kind of sort of very dramatic episode over there, and just sort of fun filler episode over here. Kind of thing.
I mean, it's a good dichotomy.
I think it worked. It worked quite well because you had the sort of very, very serious, potentially dangerous stuff, and then we had a bit of sort of comic relief going on over here. And it was also me sort of trying to actually go for, which is like what I feel is one of the main mechanics of the wizard class in D&D, is that like you get 2 new spells every level, but what differentiates them the most from the other caster classes is that they can go out and seek out new spells and like copying them into their book.
Right.
And that versatility is part of
Correct.
the wizard's thing.
Correct.
And so I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually go buy spells for once in my life. And there are none.
We're going to the
Dennis Wall.
Yeah, we are going
Hasta la
to the
biblioteca, right?
yes, we're going to the library planet after this. So, like, I have hopes about the library planet, but it does feel a bit like I hadn't been like utilizing the potential of the class, like mechanics wise, and also like RP wise, because Exercise very sort of seeker of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with Jorik there. Just I haven't been utilizing the skills that I really have.
Yeah.
There was no RP reason to do that, so good.
Saket, you were spilling the beans to the other Sagetti officer. I mean, that was a practical approach, I suppose.
Gets them off our back.
Yeah,
Very effectively.
Situation.
Like we've done what they wanted.
Resolved several problems there. The Sagetti aren't going to follow us anymore. It also means that I have somewhere to go if Blackstone freaking burns down the ship. And and I've struck up a really good deal for the Sagetti Empire. I mean, this can only work out in my favor, right?
So, as he blows everything up.
Yeah, he's just going to burn the world down.
Just created our next
If everybody is dead, nobody can be evil anymore.
Right.
Oh dear.
No.
Yeah, and you know, ultimately, Hunkin is dead. So
yeah,
does
the
it really
truth is
matter
on our
anymore?
side there.
yeah,
It is post chapter.
at least I hope he is. Thanks for putting a little spanner in the works.
I mean, it really
He's sure
depends
he's
on
dead. He can't be
it,
brought
right?
back. Fuck, I don't know.
I mean, I gave him
Aggressive stuff, you know.
I gave him the rights for a reason, right? So
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So-
Like, how much is resurrection a thing in Braxia? Speaking of,
It can be done,
Is
but
this-
Blackstone sanctified the whole process, so it's highly
Yeah.
unlikely.
but like it exists.
Sanctified murder.
I mean, if you want to torpedo every plot ever, then you make revival very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But, like,
I
if
didn't
you-
see him doing the rights over Hunkin. We just found out later that he killed him. So I have to go once ahead.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
So yeah,
I think
but
Con and Jorik did see
I
that.
feel like she achieved quite a bit today. You know, she wasn't stuffing her face for the entire episode, which makes it nice, right?
Kitchen visits at all, actually. Yeah.
I was actually prepared.
So
for
Cat the
next
round
fight.
mage.
Now my next task is stopping, Adversary filling the ship up with their purchases.
I'm
So
just gonna buy one tourist memory thing. I want a memento for where I've been.
Right.
yeah, huh?
Right.
Try and make it a
Just
magnet.
just one or two. You know, maybe
French
10.
magnet.
Maybe like at least less than 20.
Hard Rock Cafe T-shirt.
Yes.
Oh,
My
good.
friend
Hard
went to
anchor
Sanctuary,
cafe.
all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Right. And Blackstone, you had an interesting episode kind of on the sidelines of this one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was primarily focused around Con, right? But that's something that was very likely to be happening. Since we're here.
He's a druid, yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
So, I had to make a few interesting choices there about the boats and about how we may be approaching the vampire and kind of steering that a little bit. And I had to think about a few things character-wise there. At this point, the boat is a boat, not a flying ship anymore. So I kind of came to the conclusion that, well, sure, you can destroy it. Not the people, but the boat, because again, coming to what they said about the blade earlier, like it's a tool, and that's how Blackstone thinks
Right.
about things. and now that it is really just a boat, then well, if you give us like a substitute, then it's fine.
You burn all my stuff, I swear to God. Not going to be happy about that.
No. And then the other thing is that he is willing to fight this Duke, even though he probably will die, to keep him and to destroy him. And that was a decision that I thought a little bit about, because he gave a few words here and there that he absolutely wants to honor, obviously. But yeah, so that's interesting. And the last thing that I want to say is that the upcoming war between the Druids and Drakhamor is certainly something that Blackston will be very much against. He does not want war, and he does want the status quo to continue to. I couldn't interject there. Maybe I can in the future with a reasoning that kind of makes sense maybe for the Druids to not do it.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see where this leads anyways, right? But I think... yeah, from just a player, on a character point of view, it was really interesting. It was the dichotomy or the difference between basically the shopping and the kind of plotting, very enjoyable. And I'm giddy to fight this bitch now. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tell me what you got.
Three.
Actually, that
and just one emphasis here, and maybe this is for the people that watch this as well as you as a dungeon master. I am completely happy with Blackston dying. Like, he is like very self-sacrificial anyways in his character. So if it happens, it happens. I don't want him to die, obviously, but like,
yes.
If it happens, it happens.
It would end the campaign prematurely, wouldn't it?
Well, everyone dies.
I think if Blackston goes down, I don't think Blackston's going down on his own, though. I have a suspicion that other captains...
Get everybody, try and drown them down with me. Captain goes down with his boat!
That's right, actually.
Hey, you have backup now, Blackston.
Right. And Con, you were a tree and were fondled by this old, mildly... senile
That's
lady.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I had to say what I guess that's just my mind, but when you were describing coming out of the whole tree state, that sounded an awful lot like other things. Like, really bad. But anyway, we won't go there.
You've already done the ogre thing.
Yeah, exactly. You put me there.
Oh boy.
To do a
Pineapple.
Fun to do druidy stuff, definitely, and kind of opens some avenues for Con's way of thinking, because he's fairly comfortable with decoupling loyalty to orders now that they've not worth being loyal to, and because he's a bit more of a chaotic kind of a personality. He feels shaking things up is hopefully going to bring out some positive outcomes. But also with this vampire, he's kind of well aware that really he's outclassed, needs help, because a young man, a young human, who's, who's working his way through the druidic circle, as it were. But this is a very ancient vampire lord. Like, I'm surprised we're still alive, type of thing. Doesn't really need us to get the ship to Drakhamor. Anyhow, I ramble. Yeah.
It's the ramble part of the episode. So
the tension builds. And I guess I like to sort of bring that focus onto the druidic side of Con's character, and maybe take some sort of spiritual influence forward from this interaction with the tree oneness.
He's found his place to retire.
Going all, I am one with the force is with me.
I'm one with the tree.
One with the forest.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting. Something that I've consciously been trying to do with this campaign, anyway, is try to allow you guys to not forge your own destiny, because you certainly have the capacity to go in any direction that you like. But it's always interesting to sit back after a session and go, all right, so that's what they've done. These are the people they've interacted with. How are those people going to react? And it's so difficult because I'm very conscious of the fact that I don't want all people to just be evil and backstabby and betray. Although that is kind of what you expect, certainly a reputation that I've had for a very long time. But
you had, like, your NPCs are like conniving and evil? I had those too as a dungeon master.
Right, absolutely.
I don't feel like it, like from...
Sure, right? It doesn't feel like that they're being evil and manipulative. It's just if you hand the leader of the Druids an excuse to go and decimate their eternal enemies, the vampires, they're going to take it. So it's an interesting
I'm not that opposed.
Maybe let me interject there, because I can just then maybe tell the argument that I was in my head and maybe in Blackson's head is then, the vampires are bad, yes, but you already agreed that the dragons are worse. Now, if you completely bring everything into turmoil, what is this? Is it worth it? We brought you this gift as this, right? Kind of, that's the mindset that Blackson is in. I understand absolutely where the Druid is coming from, and I think that's perfect. And when you said it, I was like, yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I hope it doesn't come to this, because Blackson is like, I don't want war. That's kind of his thing, right?
That's his thing, yeah.
Like, absolutely. And I
Meanwhile,
think
Jorik is kill them all.
Exactly. And I think having every dungeon master kind of gets the reputation of having like backstabby NPCs, just because people as a person, you remember the negative things much more than the positive things, and they stand out, right? So I think that's one of the things. And also you kind of need to propel the story sometimes.
And I think it's with the evil NPCs thing. Sorry, it's also a case of like the NPCs have like goals of their own,
right?
That often conflict, and if it doesn't conflict with the PC's goals, then you never notice. But if it does start to conflict, then the NPC will do whatever they can to get their goal instead of the PC's goal. Exactly. And like it's not an evil thing. It's just that like people have different
goals.
Yes.
Motivations.
Correct. And on that note, we're going to say goodbye to you until next week. Thank you for remaining and seeing our post-discussion. Are all GMs evil? That's an interesting question. I don't think they are.
Yes, probably.
Of course we are.
Catch you again next week when the Adventures of the Windswift returns. From us, for now, goodbye.